It was just right place, right time, man. Detroit, Michigan, Joe Louis Arena, my hometown arena. My mom in the front row, my grandma, my little brother in the front row. Let's do what we can to get the people to hate Brock Lesnar. And that's where Zach Gowen came in, man.
I would say you were very instrumental in the heel character for Brock Lesnar. Like, Brock Lesnar at the time was on the rise, very popular, and then he does this angle with you and he becomes like the most hated heel in WWE. How was it working with Brock Lesnar so young in his career and also young in your career?
Right. Well, it was amazing because, like, you're absolutely right. He was this project, this rising star that just insane amount of like money and potential, and someone that you could put the company on his back. You see what I'm saying? And he had just turned heel a few weeks before, but nobody was booing Brock, and they needed Brock to be like a monster heel for his next angle. And so, but they couldn't get Brock to be a monster heel if the entire WWE universe went crazy and pop for him when he came out. So they had to come up with something to get him to turn that corner, to get the fans, to get the WWE universe to boo him and hate him. And it was just right place, right time, man. Detroit, Michigan, Joe Louis Arena, my hometown arena. My mom in the front row, my grandma, my little brother in the front row. Let's do what we can to get the people to hate Brock Lesnar. And that's where Zach Gowen came in, man.
How did you sell their part of it to your family? Because that was one of the questions that I got from other people. Like, people were like, was that really his mom? Was like, how did you sell it to her, like, to get engaged, or did she think it was real, or like how did that conversation go?
Man, my mom's a worker, man. She's a way better worker than I am. That was my mom for sure, 1000%. And she got a hell of a promo too, like live on the floor of Joe Louis Arena in front of like 15,000 fans. She was amazing. She was so good. No, that was my real mom. That the plan that day was for me to wrestle Matt Hardy. So I'm driving. The arena is 20 minutes from my house. I'm driving to the arena thinking I'm wrestling Matt Hardy. I get to the arena, and then Bruce Pritchard pulls me aside and says, "Hey, we're doing this thing with Brock tonight. Can you get your mom on the phone? We'd love to have your mom as a part of this." Day of, you know what I mean? Like, we're literally 2, 3, 4 hours from filming, from starting the show. And so I called mom up. I said, "Hey, mom, I need you down at Joe Louis Arena ASAP," and to her credit, she did it. And so we went over the angle with my mom, and she knew everything that was going to happen, but she didn't know about the blood. That part I kept hidden from her because I was afraid of her reaction to it. And so, so in the angle, I'm on the stretcher, I'm a mess, and my mom hops the rail, and she's yelling at me. She's like, Zachary, you didn't tell me about the blood. What is this shit? What'd you do to yourself? And I'm like, Mom, you had stop, just hold it. The cameras are on. Like, we're still in the middle of this angle. Please do not ruin this angle for me. And to her credit, man, she snapped right back into that role, and she was amazing. She even took a swipe at Brock at a certain point, which I thought was really, really cool. And it was all like improv, like she just called it in the ring. Like, she's been doing this for years, man. So my mom's a legend. There's no question about it, but she knew about everything, but she didn't know about the blood, and she was quite upset about that. But it ended up working out just fine.
I got to give your mom one of the best cameos of the Ruthless Aggression era, for sure.
She's a legend. There's no question about it.
So, like you said, it kind of you had this short period in WWE, and then he gets ripped from you, and a lot of that has been going on over the past year with the pandemic. A lot of WWE releases even recently. How did that day go about? Like, how did they contact you, and how did you find out you were getting let go?
Well, I had an extreme amount of heat, and there were rumors going around that they were going to let me go. So I wasn't caught off. Completely off guard. The short and sweet of it is I wasn't, my foundation wasn't secure enough to handle that amount of success at that age. And there's no one to blame but myself for that. You can't blame WWE for signing me after only like 20 matches, less than a year into the wrestling business. You can't blame them for giving me an opportunity to, share my story and give me a platform to connect with an audience. And obviously they're a business, so they want to make money. And the fact of the matter, it's just that simple. I wasn't able to receive the gift that was being given to me. I hadn't worked hard enough or sacrificed long enough to be able to receive that gift. And so I wasn't emotionally mature enough for that. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I knew it was going to happen. I think Johnny Ace called me up and flew me out to New York. And then I sat down with Jim Ross, who fired me. Good old JR. And to Jim Ross's credit, man, like, that's a tough job.
Yeah. Can
you imagine? Like, your job is to fire people from their lifelong boyhood dream. Like that, man, that's, obviously with maturity, you kind of look back in retrospect and you can kind of have a greater appreciation for the other man on the other side of the desk, who's delivering the news. But Jim Ross was so gracious about it, like he put me over and he said, the work is great. However, the maturity is not there. We want to see you continue to wrestle, go on the independent scene, give us a call, stay in touch, all of this, and I've always appreciated Jim Ross for that. And I have it in my head. Next time I see Jim, I'm going to thank him for firing me in such an amazing and a gracious way, because I would not want that job at all, period. So I saw it coming and it happened. However, it was such a challenge for me because I'm 20 years old and my identity is wrapped up in being Zach Gowen, WWE Superstar. And you take away the WWE Superstar, and what are you left with? Zach Gowen. The problem is I didn't know who Zach Gowen was. I wasn't mature enough. I was too young. I hadn't traveled that road yet, And so it was heartbreaking and it was hurtful. And then you have to understand too, like, this is in 2003, 2004, and the internet and social media stuff had just started kind of blossoming. Yeah. Right. And so I'm reading about myself online and I'm seeing all of these comments like, oh, great. Thank God Zach Gowen is gone. He sucks. But, and like from strangers, and I'm not prepared for that either. What I'm saying? It's a lot different now. People, kids who are coming up now have an understanding of what social media is and interaction with the public through the internet and what that looks like. However, there was no foundation for that, or there was no previous experience with that. So that was a challenge too, getting all of the hate online from that as well. And it went through a number of dark years, man, where, depression, anxiety, addiction, all of that, where I'm just constantly searching to not be in my skin, because it was so uncomfortable. And, I felt like a failure. I felt like a loser, all of this. And by the grace of God, I found my path in sobriety and recovery, and I haven't had a drink or a drug in over 11 years. And
congratulations.
Thanks, man. My everything that is good in my life right now is a result of my recovery. And so now I'm a champion for recovery. I'm a sobriety enthusiast, so when people struggle or they need help, I invite them to reach out to me and I share exactly with them what I went through. And hopefully we can set them on the right path, that sort of thing. And so it's the ups and downs of life, man. It's about how we respond to it. It's about getting that foundation secure and right. But it was definitely a challenge, man. My heart breaks for the people who get released from WWE, because you go into that situation thinking, all right, I've made it, right? Yeah. Like, this is it. Like, this is at the top of the mountain. There's nowhere to go but down. And so when you get fired or you get released or a change of life happens and you have to readjust, man, that readjustment period can be a real struggle for a lot of people. There's no question about it. But to the men and women who've gotten released and fired from the job, listen, man, there's a whole big world out there. Like, there's never been a better time to not have a contract to someone in 2021. It's just that simple. I mean, we're here on YouTube, we're on the podcast. There's so many ways to stay engaged with your audience and make that authentic connection. So many opportunities to get work whether it's in wrestling or outside of wrestling. And so life isn't over when you get released from WWE, although there might be a period of time where you think it is.